Hello, everyone, and welcome into Inside the Smoky Mountain Conference, presented by Team FYN Sports. Jake West, joined by Brandon Stevens. As always, we are now hitting our stride into conference play. Non-conference play is over. We've got those. A lot of teams had some really tough non-conference schedules. Finally, got those out of the way. So we've only got a few games to talk about this week. So probably be a short show, but we'll go ahead and give our thoughts on those. Let's start with Murphy, coming off a big loss to AC Reynolds, and they go into the bye week licking their wounds.
That's a tough game, Jake. Murphy came out in that football game, I thought, relatively strong. I thought they were going to set the tempo, get their cadence, and then we have anything and everything going wrong. Cameron Clem comes out with an ankle injury. We have another wide receiver, have a hand injury. We see a couple of interceptions. One for Grant throws a pick six. We see through the night false starts to personal fouls. It was just not a pretty game. But however, in the beginning, you're left with the initial impression that, hey, Murphy can play with AC Reynolds, and probably had all the mistakes, all the penalties, the injuries, because we had a string of injuries that may have sidelined somebody. I wish you could see the Brody Orton's helmet. It was cracked all the way through, and there were it was a terrible night as far as that goes. But the AC Reynolds Rockets, I even think they have some work to do. They had lots of opportunities, and of course, you feed the ball to anybody and let them take off. Guess what? They're going to score, and they did. And so with that end, it was just not the prettiest of nights for the Murphy Bulldogs. And some work this week. Take a little bit off on Monday, but trying to climb back in the saddle and probably go watch Cherokee Rosman or another game in the area. The Robbinsville Hayesville game. Get a leg up, or just take a rest for Friday night if you're a Murphy Bulldog. But otherwise, the team needs to convalesce a bit and get back into it.
Yeah, we knew, kind of looking at it before the year started, them and Robbinsville both had the toughest non-conference schedules before they headed into the season. Both teams emerged 2-2. Robbinsville gets a big win over Mitchell, and as you said, they're playing Hayesville this week. I was at that Robbinsville game last week against Mitchell. There was a scoreless first quarter, but they were pretty much in control for the following three quarters. I mean, Luke Lovin looked really good through the air, 8 of 15, 185 yards, one score. He had average 23 yards per completion. And then on the ground, Kazak Tisteski, Benton Gibby, they had to fill some holes with Isaac Collins only playing defense. Tucker Jones looked really good as emerging as one of their wide receivers. Cameron Allison, he's their wide receiver one. He had another back-to-back games over 100 yards through the air. He had another touchdown. They just really been, filling holes that they've been banged up very early on. You mentioned Murphy getting banged up this past week. Robbinsville got banged up off the jump. So another thing I wanted to point out, 5 interceptions in this game. Xander Wachacha had 2. Luke Lovin had 1. Taylor had 1. Gibby had 1. So just a great all-around performance from Robbinsville, just pulling away from Mitchell. But their opponent this week in Hayesville, a little bit tighter game than I think we thought they would have against Georgia Force.
Well, we talked about this last week, is that Georgia Force is not the Georgia Force, that they probably, how old is that school or the organization? It's not very old.
Yeah.
I think Murphy or Robbinsville or Swain County, one of us in the Smoky Mountain Conference was probably one of their first opponents. And one of the things that coaches there have been wanting to do is, they look at the Smoky Mountain Conference and they look and say, this is some tough football play. So they generally have one game against one of us, Cherokee, Rosman, Robbinsville, name them all. But no, they've been building. My point is, without going into a lot of backstory and detail, that they've been building, and every year they get just a little bit better, or sometimes leaps and bounds better. And for that, it's homeschooling mostly, I think. And so, your player roster can vacillate a little bit. That's the instability of that team. But in most cases, I think a lot of the players stick with it, and there's beginning to be a bit of a winning tradition, or at least a tradition built with Georgia Force. In that football game, I think that we were saying that probably Georgia Force would make a bigger impression than they did.
One thing I want to point out that Hayesville saw 46 passes fly over their head, 3 for touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They Georgia Force didn't run the ball very much. On the other hand, Hayesville going to Robbinsville this week, they're going to have to find some semblance of a passing game. They were 1 for 7 last week for 8 yards. And obviously, you've got Trey Graves, one of the best running backs in the region of Western North Carolina, had 23 carries for 252 yards and scored all 5 touchdowns. You've got a pretty good defensive front. And obviously you had a few takeaways in the secondary, but you've got to find a way. I think that's the missing piece for this team the past 2 years, has been trying to move the ball through the air. And if you're asking what I think about Hayesville and Robbinsville next week, I think, Robbinsville, they're a team that's always been hefty in the trenches. And if you can't keep them honest with the pass, which we haven't seen Hayesville be able to do this year, then I think we're going to see a 28-7 Robbinsville win over Hayesville here in our first conference game of the year.
I totally agree. I think that when you looked at there have been so far 98 yards and 7 completed passes for Hayesville. That doesn't tell you many good things about trying to do exactly what you said. It's going to be a rushing game. But the man who's making trails for them, Trey Graves, it's about 10 to 12 yards a carry. Tough to stop Trey. But however, if I was Robbinsville, I'd throw the house on him, and
stack the box, beg them to throw the football.
Exactly. I mean, I put more bodies there to watch, or maybe not. That's going to be the name of the game. It's, is it a rushing game for Hayesville, passing game? Probably not. So the big thing here is, can you outspeed them and outthink Robbinsville Black Knights? This one, it's we're in Hayesville or Robbinsville. I wasn't very
Robbinsville.
Clear. Robbinsville. Okay. That's what I thought. This one I think is a Robbinsville game, but I don't think you're probably going to see like a 35-0 type score. This one, I think that it's going to. Hayesville is impressive. They can have one of the worst records. They can, the last game may have been a total flop, but when they're playing the Smoky Mountain Conference, they dig their nails in. They'll beat you up. They want the wins, and that's what I like about their desire. And I think that within this one, it wouldn't surprise me that it's maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. But I think 28-14, Robbinsville wins this one.
Shifting gears, let's talk about a team that has the opposite problem of Hayesville, the Cherokee Braves. They throw the ball around a lot. Right. Dawson Panther is the leading passer in the conference. But they lost a game they probably shouldn't have last week against Inca. Inca, a team that Hayesville beat 21-20, 2 weeks ago. Cherokee loses 27-19, due partly to the fact that they had 54 rushing yards. That's just not going to get it done.
No, I mean, speaks volumes if you're in college or if you're in the NFL or something like that. Being able to, or passing that number of times, what is it? Usual quarterback will pass 40 passes in a game. But this is kind of like almost reminds me a little bit as Cherokee's working its way through. I mean, Dawson Panther, he started out young last year, thrown from the frying pan to the fire, but he did well, 52% passing. I still am looking for some good stuff from Jonathan Saylor. This one, I think, with the manpower that Rosman has, it just depends on what Rosman team shows up. Is it the team that showed up against Owen to begin the season, or just or the Copper Bay? Now they allowed some runs and some touchdowns at Copper Basin. Rosman did, but for the most part, you're not seeing passing coming from this team, not really at all. Rushing is where it's taken, and let's say, well, mispronounce his name, but Brian Ronaldo, he's the guy that you need to stop. The running back that's got the yards, and Zeke Gainey right behind that. It's been the guys on paper, but that's probably where things, and really, to tell you the truth, traditionally when you go to Cherokee, or you play Cherokee usually has some big boys on the front line. So trying to run through with a trap or a dive, or you're probably going to have to hit the corner to make it work. And Cherokee, this one I could see very well. Now, Cherokee should win this one, and depending on how they show, depending on the if you make mistakes, if you're ready to play, or if you come serious, it's Rosman. But Rosman's got a better record than you. They're 2-2. You're 1-3. Cherokee has lost a couple of big games. One that they should have won last week, and probably should have done a bigger number over North Buncombe earlier in the season. I think that probably Cherokee's underperforming just a little bit, in my opinion. But so it's like they can do better. Their potential's here. They're just kind of eking there to the moment, but doing well enough again to I say well enough to be a 1-3, but that record should be a little bit different. This one, I'm looking. This is being played in Cherokee, and I would think that Cherokee takes Rosman. A little tough to figure out, but I'd say this one probably could be like 28-7.
Yeah, I think so. I think Cherokee just going to out athlete Rosman. Rosman, 2-2, 2 wins for the first time since 2015. So obviously they are improving. But I do think Cherokee just puts the ball in the hands of their athletes, and they kind of take over early on, especially this game being at Cherokee. But let's talk about the biggest story from last week in our final game of this week: Swain County versus Andrews. Andrews loses to Anderson, South Carolina, 46-14. Swain County with a 16-14 win, thanks to a John Stevenson field goal as time expires. Coach Holt and Swain County sitting at 2-2 on the year, but they could not be further from the one-win team they were last year.
I'll tell you what, they've since their first win of the season. Of course, it was against a new forming Smoky Mountain, 21-6, and they haven't had really a big gaudy loss. And what I mean by that is that you play a tough Pisgah team, you lose by 1 point, heartbreaker. But it's telling you that progress is being made. You're playing a really strong team. Franklin, a little bit different, 45-27. You lose there. But the whole thought going through this is, well, you're Swain County, you're rebuilding, so you're supposed to lose. But The one that you're expecting probably to lose, and we made the prediction last week, Mountain Heritage. And looking at things, Mountain Heritage seemed to fall apart in this one, and lots of things going right. But I mean, still some miscues on both sides of the ball. But hey, get out of Burnsville, get out of Bryson City, where they're playing in Bryson City last week, weren't they?
Yeah.
And so with that, go home and celebrate that one because again, Mountain Heritage, even up against some of the bigger schools in the region, this is probably one of the best teams in the region. So you come away winning and doing relatively well. I say this is one to celebrate.
Yeah, for sure. One thing that everybody in the area around here knows, you don't want to play a sloppy game against Swain County because they can take advantage of that. And this was, from what I've seen on film, a pretty sloppy game. I saw a Swain County fumble right as they were on the Mountain Heritage 5-yard line about to score. I think Swain County bounced back on that, but still, I saw some fumbles, some things go back and forth. But at the end of the day, when you win a football game that you're a 28-point underdog entering into on Friday night, that's a reason to celebrate. And it's like Swain County's got a fire in their bellies right now. They look their schedule. They've got Andrews, then they've got a week off. Then they go to Robbinsville, to Hayesville, Cherokee at home, at Rosman. They end the season with Murphy. So back to the old ending the season with the Murphy Swain game. That's going to be one that all Smoky Mountain Conference fans are going to be interested to see. But this is, I mean, what a job Coach Holt has done keeping the faith, keeping the Maroon Devil, on their feet and getting this ship pointed in the right direction, because that is a game that no one predicted them to win. Literally, we had a pick 'em this past weekend. No one predicted Swain County to win that football game, and they win 16-14. They've got Andrews this week. Andrews still searching for that first win of the year. I would say with this game being in Bryson City, that first win's probably not going to come this week. I think Swain's just way too big up front for Andrews. This is a very small Andrews team, a very young Andrews team. I think it's a team full of talent that can do something in the next few years. But right now, they're still learning. Coach Johnson's still implementing his coaching style, and I expect Swain County, to kind of get things rolling into conference play here with a Smoky Mountain Conference win.
I think, this is not going to be a good one. You're outmanned a bit, just to put it bluntly, as far as the Hayes or the Andrews side of things. We've been asking the question for these past couple of games: is this a rushing game? Is this a passing game? Is this an RPO? What do you look through? This one better be, if the pass has not been there. Brady McClellan tossing about 25%, but it's been the rushing game, and he actually leads the team, I believe.
Yeah,
with rushing. So, you're running. I was going to say a moment ago, to some of the faithful in Swain County, they're probably thinking that Swain County is running on a little bit of a shoestring, and they're rebuilding. No, I think it's just it's almost Socratic. The knowledge, skills, and abilities are already there, and Swain County just got to pull it out of them. Andrews, on the other hand, is running on a shoestring as far as getting things small. It's just fact. But this one, being in Swain County, watching mistakes, this one could get ugly. I say Swain County 45-7 over Andrews.
Yeah, one of the things I would like to keep an eye on in this game is both teams' offenses. Andrews got one of the best wide receivers in the Smoky Mountain Conference in Logan Schuler, and I would like to see Swain County, put some sustained drives together, and kind of get that old school Swain County 6-minute, 8-minute drives to really just see a Swain back to their true form. So that's all the games for this week. Like I said, it's going to be a short show, and here we are about 25 minutes in. But Brandon, anything you want to add as we head into conference week?
No, this is the exciting part of it. I mean, yeah, our content gets cut down just a little bit because and then hopefully we'll see a lot of state playoff play coming up. That's the anticipation through the non-conference. You're anticipating the conference. You get partway through the conference, and then you're anticipating who's going to go to the playoffs, who's going to win the conference championship, so on and so forth. This is the beginning of the exciting time. Now I think really good things coming. Swain County again. Congratulations, men out there, for winning 16-14 over Mountain Heritage, and really one of the more exciting games. I think having a Friday night off, flip a coin, go watch Robbinsville Hayesville. I think that could be, to say the least. Whoever wins, it's going to be a physical football game. That could be a kind of an exciting one to watch.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the scoreboard says, I think everybody's going to give their all. Cherokee Rosman, that one could get a bit touchy. Depending, Rosman can cover the pass and watch out for Dawson Panther. But anyhow, we've covered those, and it's time to go watch some football. And I'll tell you, just sharing one or two little things. Talking about the conference, I will have to say that give some props to a couple of the JV teams. I have not seen a bigger team. Maybe Murphy a couple of years ago. I was going out to interview some of the players, and I was walking over to see, and I didn't recognize a face, and it was a JV team. Actually, the JV team was a bit bigger than the varsity team. But this year, Swain County takes a trophy on having the biggest group of players. I mean, size-wise, they're rough and tough. And when it comes down to it, I'm going to bet that they'll take a shot or could take the title in the Smoky Mountain Conference. So that's a team to watch, and watch them coming up as they mature and turn into varsity football players. The rest, I hope everybody has a good evening, and I appreciate you guys tuning in and making things happen for us so we can do the show.
All right, we'll be back same time, same place next week. Thanks everybody for watching.